Most people believe the first $100,000 is the hardest milestone in investing, but that belief is wrong. The truth is far more interesting and far more powerful. The first $100,000 is not the hardest. It is the most important. And if you understand why, it can completely change how you think about money for the rest of your life. This is not a motivational quote. This is not internet hype. This is how money actually works in the real world, and almost nobody explains it clearly. Think about this for a second. There are millions of people who work hard every day, year after year, yet never reach their first $100,000. At the same time, there are people who cross that line once and then seem to move forward faster and faster. It almost looks unfair, but it is not luck. It is not talent, it is not secret connections. It is understanding momentum. Before we go any further, if you care about building real wealth, not just quick money, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Money Spectrum. This channel is about understanding money in a way schools never taught us, and one simple click helps this message reach more people who need it. Now let me tell you a simple story. Imagine two people. Same age, same city, same education, same salary. They both start working at 25. Person A spends most of what they earn, saves a little, and tells themselves they will invest seriously later when they earn more. Person B decides early that building their first $100,000 is non-negotiable. They cut unnecessary expenses, learn basic investing, and stay consistent even when progress feels slow. For years, there's almost no visible difference between them. Person A looks more relaxed, travels more, upgrades their lifestyle faster. Person B feels frustrated sometimes. They feel behind. They wonder if it's even worth it. But then something strange happens. Around the time Person B crosses their first $100,000, the gap starts to widen. Not slowly, exponentially. Suddenly, their investments start producing noticeable returns. Their confidence grows. Their decisions improve. Money starts working with them instead of against them. This is the part most people miss. The first $100,000 doesn't change your life because of the number itself. It changes your life because of what it unlocks. Before your first $100,000, every dollar you earn comes mainly from your time. You trade hours for money. Miss a day, miss the income. But after that milestone, even modest returns begin to matter. 5% on $100,000 is $5,000. 10% is $10,000. That money shows up whether you worked extra hours or not. This is when the psychology shifts. Before $100,000, investing feels pointless to many people. Gains look small. Progress feels slow. Motivation fades easily. After $100,000, effort starts compounding with results. You feel the feedback loop. You feel the momentum, and momentum is addictive in the best way. Let's be clear about something important. This does not mean life becomes easy. It means progress becomes visible. And visible progress keeps people consistent. Most people quit too early because they don't see results fast enough. They save a little, invest a little, and when nothing dramatic happens, they stop. Not because the system doesn't work, but because compounding is invisible in the beginning. Here's an uncomfortable truth. The first $100,000 is built mostly through discipline, not returns. After that, returns start to help you. In the early stage, your biggest asset is not money. It is behavior. How you spend, how you save, how you think, how long you can stay consistent without validation. That's why this milestone matters more than any other. Because if you can build your first $100,000, you have proven something extremely valuable to yourself. You have proven that you can delay gratification. You can follow a long-term plan. You can ignore noise. You can act rationally when emotions want control. Those skills are rare. And once you have them, money becomes easier to manage at every level. Many people ask, why not focus on the first million? Because the million is built on the foundation of the first 100,000. Without that foundation, most people never get there. Or if they do, they lose it. We've all seen stories of people who make a lot of money quickly and then end up broke again. That usually happens because money grew faster than their mindset. They skip the phase where discipline is formed. The first 100,000 forces you to learn patience. It forces you to understand risk. It forces you to face your habits honestly. And here's something most finance influencers won't tell you. If you struggle to reach your first 100,000, the problem is rarely income alone. It's structure. It's priorities. It's leaks. People earning six figures can still fail to build this milestone because their lifestyle grows faster than their assets. Meanwhile, someone earning much less but controlling their spending and investing consistently can reach it faster. Money is not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep and how well you deploy it. This is where many people get stuck emotionally. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect job, the perfect market, the perfect salary. But the first 100,000 is not built in perfect conditions. It is built in boring, repetitive, sometimes frustrating conditions. Automatic savings. Simple investments. Saying no more often than yes. Choosing long-term security over short-term pleasure, that's not exciting. But it works. Once you cross this milestone, something powerful happens. You stop feeling desperate about money. You stop making decisions from fear. You stop chasing every shiny opportunity. Because now money has weight. Losses hurt, but they don't destroy you. Gains matter, but they don't make you reckless. You start thinking in percentages instead of emotions. And this is where real wealth begins. On Money Spectrum, we focus a lot on this invisible phase, because this is where most people fail quietly. They don't fail loudly, they just slowly give up. They tell themselves investing is only for rich people, or that the system is rigged, or that they'll start later. Later rarely comes. If you are still far from your first 100,000, this message is especially for you. You are not behind. You are not late. You are in the hardest psychological phase, not the hardest financial one. And once you understand that, everything changes. Let's talk about why the first $100,000 feels painfully slow for almost everyone, even for people doing everything right. This part is critical, because misunderstanding this phase is the main reason people quit too early. In the beginning, compounding does not feel like compounding at all. It feels like nothing is happening. You save, you invest, you wait, and when you check your balance, the numbers barely move. This creates doubt. You start questioning your strategy. You wonder if you chose the wrong investments. You wonder if investing even works. But here's the reality most people don't see. Compounding is not linear. It does not reward you evenly over time. It rewards patience disproportionately. In the early years, almost all growth comes from your contributions, not your returns. Your money is working, but it's working quietly. For example, imagine you invest consistently and earn an average annual return. In year 1, the growth is small. In year 2, still small. Even in year 5, it might feel underwhelming. That's because the base number is still small. Percentage gains on small numbers don't look impressive. This is where psychology becomes your biggest enemy. Humans are wired to respond to immediate feedback. We like fast results. We like visible progress. But investing doesn't care about your emotions. It follows math. And math rewards time more than effort. That's why the first 100,000 is such a filter. It filters out people who can't tolerate delayed gratification. Think about it like pushing a heavy flywheel. At first, it barely moves. Every push feels useless. You get tired. You want to stop, but if you keep pushing, something shifts. The wheel starts moving on its own. Each push adds more speed. Eventually, it becomes easier to keep it spinning than to stop it. Your investments work the same way. Before 100,000, you are doing most of the pushing. After 100,000, momentum starts helping you. Another reason this phase feels slow is because life is happening at the same time. You're building a career, paying bills, handling responsibilities, maybe supporting a family. Investing feels like one more burden instead of a reward. This is where many people make a critical mistake. They treat investing as optional, something they'll focus on when life calms down. Life rarely calms down. The people who reach their first 100,000 do something different. They integrate investing into their identity. It's not something they try to do. It's something they simply do. They automate it. They remove emotion from the process. They stop checking their balance daily. They focus on consistency, not excitement. And here's something important to understand. The market doesn't reward intelligence as much as it rewards behavior. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need advanced strategies. You need discipline over long periods. Many smart people fail financially because they overthink. They wait for confirmation, they chase trends, they panic during downturns. Meanwhile, average people who stay consistent quietly build wealth. This is why the first 100,000 builds confidence. Not because you suddenly feel rich, but because you realize you can trust yourself. You learn that you don't need to react to every headline. You learn that volatility is normal. You learn that boring often beats exciting. That mindset shift alone is worth more than money. At Money Spectrum, we often talk about how wealth is built long before it shows up on a screen. It's built in habits, systems, and decisions that don't feel glamorous. Let's talk numbers for a moment, but in a simple way. If you have $10,000 invested and the market goes up 10%, you gain $1,000. That's nice, but it doesn't change your life. If you have $100,000 and the market goes up 10%, you gain $10,000. That feels very different, same percentage, very different impact. That difference changes how you see time, risk, and opportunity. Before 100,000, setbacks feel devastating. After 100,000, setbacks feel like part of the process. This is why reaching this milestone is not about impressing others. It's about stabilizing yourself. Many people sabotage themselves during this phase by trying to accelerate too aggressively. They take unnecessary risks. They chase high returns. They gamble instead of investing. They forget that the goal is not speed. The goal is sustainability. The first 100,000 is not a sprint. It's a proving ground. And once you pass this test, the game changes. You stop thinking in terms of survival and start thinking in terms of optimization. You start asking better questions. How can I improve efficiency? How can I protect what I've built? How can I let time do more of the work? This is when money starts to feel less stressful and more strategic. Now let's talk about what actually helps people reach their first $100,000 faster, without turning life into misery or relying on unrealistic income jumps. This part matters because many people assume this milestone requires extreme sacrifices, perfect timing, or some secret strategy. It doesn't. What it really requires is alignment. Most people don't fail because they don't earn enough. They fail because their financial behavior is misaligned with their long-term goals. Their money flows in one direction while their goals sit somewhere else waiting. The people who reach their first 100,000 tend to do a few simple things very consistently. First, they decide early that this milestone is a priority, not a side goal. That decision sounds small, but it changes everything. When something becomes a priority, it gets protected. It gets scheduled. It gets defended against distractions. Instead of saving whatever is left at the end of the month, they flip the process. They pay themselves first. Investing becomes automatic, not optional. The money moves before emotions get involved. Automation removes friction. And friction is the enemy of consistency. Second, they avoid lifestyle inflation as much as possible, especially in the early years. This doesn't mean living poorly. It means living intentionally. Every raise doesn't automatically turn into a bigger car, a more expensive apartment, or more recurring expenses. They understand that every fixed cost added today steals flexibility from tomorrow. Many people feel rich when they upgrade their lifestyle. People who build wealth feel rich when they increase their freedom. Third, they keep their investment approach simple. This is where a lot of people get confused. They think complexity equals intelligence. In reality, complexity often increases mistakes. Simple, diversified investments held for long periods outperform most complicated strategies executed inconsistently. People who reach their first 100,000 don't constantly change direction. They don't jump in and out based on fear or hype. They stay invested. They also understand something critical. Time in the market beats timing the market. Waiting for the perfect moment usually means missing many good moments. Consistency smooths out volatility over time. Another overlooked factor is identity. People who succeed financially start seeing themselves as investors early, even when their portfolio is small. That identity influences behavior. Investors think long-term. They ask different questions. They react differently to news. If you see yourself as someone who tries to invest, you'll quit when it gets uncomfortable. If you see yourself as an investor, discomfort becomes part of the job. This identity shift often happens quietly before the money shows up. That's why the first 100,000 often feels anticlimactic when people finally reach it. The real change already happened inside. At Money Spectrum, we emphasize this because money follows mindset, not the other way around. There's another important point most people underestimate. Your first 100,000 is built more by what you don't do than what you do. You don't panic sell. You don't chase every trend. You don't compare your timeline to others. You don't let short-term noise derail long-term plans. Avoiding mistakes is more powerful than making brilliant moves. This is especially important in a world full of financial content designed to trigger emotion. Fear sells, hype sells. Calm, boring consistency does not. But calm, boring consistency builds wealth. One more thing that helps people reach this milestone faster is increasing income intentionally, not randomly. This doesn't mean working nonstop. It means focusing on skills that compound just like investments do. Skills increase earning potential. And higher income, when paired with discipline, accelerates progress dramatically. But income alone is not enough. Without structure, higher income often leads to higher spending and the same results. Structure is what converts income into assets. This is why many high earners still live paycheck to paycheck, while moderate earners quietly build net worth. Another psychological trap people fall into is all-or-nothing thinking. They believe if they can't invest a lot, it's not worth investing at all. This mindset delays progress. Small amounts invested consistently matter more than large amounts invested inconsistently. Momentum doesn't care where you start. It cares that you keep going. Every contribution, no matter how small, trains behavior. It reinforces identity. It strengthens the habit. And habits scale. When your income grows, the habit is already there. You don't need to start over, you simply increase the numbers. This is how the first 100,000 sneaks up on people who stay consistent. One day, they check their balance and realize they crossed a line they once thought was impossible. Not because they did something extraordinary, but because they didn't quit. Once you cross your first $100,000, the experience of money begins to feel different, even if your lifestyle hasn't changed at all. This is where many people expect fireworks, but instead they feel something quieter and more powerful. Stability. The biggest shift is not financial. It's mental. Before this point, money feels fragile. One mistake can undo years of effort. One bad decision feels permanent. After this milestone, money starts to feel more resilient. You realize that setbacks are temporary, not fatal. This changes how you behave. You stop obsessing over every market move. You stop checking balances constantly. You stop reacting emotionally to short-term drops. You've seen your portfolio grow before, so you trust that it can grow again. Confidence replaces fear. This is why many people say the second 100,000 comes faster. It's not just because of compounding, it's because of clarity. You understand what works for you, you've tested your tolerance for risk. You know how you react under pressure. You've already made mistakes and survived them. That experience is invaluable. Another important change happens quietly. Your investments start contributing meaningfully to your progress. The growth is no longer just theoretical. You can see it. You can measure it. You can feel it. This creates a powerful feedback loop. Seeing progress reinforces consistency. Consistency accelerates growth. Growth reinforces confidence. Confidence improves decisions. This loop didn't exist in the early phase. Now it does. Your focus also shifts. Instead of asking, "Can I build wealth?" you start asking, "How can I optimize what I've built?" You think more about asset allocation, risk management, and tax efficiency. These questions only matter once there's something worth protecting. This is also where patience becomes easier. You're no longer rushing toward a number. You're managing a system. Systems are calmer than goals. They operate regardless of mood. At Money Spectrum, we talk a lot about systems because systems scale. Motivation doesn't. Another subtle shift is how you view opportunity. Before 100,000, opportunities feel urgent. You feel pressure to act fast, to not miss out. After 100,000, opportunities feel optional. You can afford to be selective. That alone protects you from many costly mistakes. You also begin to understand the real purpose of money. It's not consumption, it's control. Control over time. Control over choices, control over stress. Money becomes a tool, not a scoreboard. However, this phase comes with its own risks. Some people become overconfident. They take unnecessary risks because early success makes them feel invincible. Others become too conservative and stop growing altogether. Balance matters. The habits that built the first 100,000 are still required. They just operate at a higher level now. Discipline doesn't disappear. It evolves. One mistake people make after reaching this milestone is thinking they've made it. In reality, they've only graduated to the next stage. The game is longer than most people realize. But here's the good news. Once you've crossed this line, you've proven that you can do hard things over long periods. That skill applies far beyond money. It applies to health, to relationships, to careers, to personal growth. That's why this milestone is so important. It's not about the money. It's about the person you become while earning it. Wherever you are right now on your financial journey, this is the most important thing to understand. The gap between where you are and your first $100,000 is not measured only in money. It is measured in time, behavior, and belief. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10. This is especially true with investing. Progress feels slow until it suddenly doesn't. And by the time it feels fast, the hardest part is already behind you. If you are at the beginning, your job is not to be perfect. Your job is to start and stay consistent. You don't need the best strategy. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to predict the market. You need a simple plan you can stick to even when motivation fades. Consistency beats intensity every time. There will be months where nothing seems to work. There will be periods where markets go down and doubt creeps in. That's not a sign you're failing. That's the process. The people who win are not the ones who avoid discomfort. They are the ones who don't let discomfort decide their actions. Remember this. The first $100,000 is not built by doing something extraordinary once. It's built by doing ordinary things repeatedly, even when no one is watching and nothing feels exciting. This is where most people quit. They quit because progress is invisible. They quit because results don't match effort yet. They quit because comparison steals their patience. But if you can stay consistent through this phase, you unlock something most people never experience. You unlock momentum. Momentum changes everything. It changes how money grows. It changes how you think. It changes how you plan. It changes how you respond to setbacks. And once momentum is on your side, the journey feels lighter. At Money Spectrum, our goal is not to promise quick wins or unrealistic results. Our goal is to help you understand how wealth actually builds in real life, so you don't sabotage yourself before compounding has a chance to work. If this video helps shift how you think about money, take a moment to share it with someone who's early in their journey. Most people don't need more motivation. They need clarity, and I'd really like to hear from you. Where are you right now on your path to your first 100,000? Are you just starting halfway there or already past it? Drop a comment below. Reading your experiences helps others feel less alone in this process. Also, if you found value here, make sure you're subscribed to Money Spectrum. We focus on long-term thinking, real-world finance, and ideas that actually help you build stability over time. The first $100,000 isn't the hardest milestone. It's the most important one. Because once you cross it, you're no longer guessing whether wealth is possible. You're proving it to yourself. Stay patient. Stay consistent. Let time do its work.